In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Jasmine Glasheen, and she's hailing over from the team at Surefront. And Surefront does something very helpful in these days. The website says it calms the chaos. So basically, today we want to deep dive into that product lifecycle management solution to figure out how brands and retailers are leveraging the platform and streamlining their workflows. And we got Jasmine here. She's responsible for the content side of things. So quite naturally to the Pathway Presents podcast, we're going to talk all about growth, the website, and strategies on there. So Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Lucas.
Of course. So maybe give us a quick overview in your own words. What is Surefront all about?
So officially, we are a next generation product lifecycle management platform. But unofficially, what we do is we calm the chaos for vendors, brands, retailers to do what they do best. And that's not clerical work. So what we realized is that about 80% of the buyer's journey is spent on less than savory administrative tasks that nobody actually enjoys. Nobody gets into retail to do administrative work, and we reduce that significantly.
That sounds like a very good cause. Maybe tell us a little bit about the organization, brands and retailers. What should we imagine? Is there certain sizes, certain industries? Maybe give us a bit of a pointer who you're working with.
So we work with retailers of all sizes. McKinsey did a study on retail operations this year that found that 2/3 of time is actually spent on busy work. So that's that clerical work that we all despise so deeply. And the process to bring products to market has become super complex and time consuming. So what we want to do is free up the team to learn more about products, to learn more about consumers, and to decrease the administrative work.
Very good. Now, within those organizations, who would you say is the typical champion? Like, who's the one that says, raises their hand and says, we need something like Surefront? Is that, does it come from the brand management side? Is it from an operational angle? From the revenue team, maybe even? Like, where does it come from?
So usually it's the decision makers that can identify this, and that's part of the struggle for us a lot of the time is because we are a pretty revolutionary platform. Product lifecycle management has not been around forever. So essentially what it takes is one of the decision makers in the company, which is generally the C-suite, at least they're the ones who are actually making the final decision, recognizing, look, our buyers at this point, or our entire team on the supplier side is spending most of their time doing something that nobody enjoys in Excel documents, emails, communicating back and forth. Because one retail order can take 60 emails back and forth, text messages. It's just a lot of tracking down information, and it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why we exist.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, how do these guys learn about Surefront? Like, what would you say would be sort of the buying journey looking like, or the client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging for them to get to know and getting started with Surefront?
Yeah, so we kind of cut our teeth in the trade show industry. We actually started right around the advent of COVID, which is really kind of rare for a company because so many businesses were closing down. But what happened at the beginning of COVID is that retailers were missing so many staff members. So many people were calling out sick. So many people had to operate with a reduced headcount, that a platform to actually reduce the number of employees necessary to do a good job and to get products to market, it was the perfect time for us.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, you work on content, which naturally means you're in touch with the website a lot. Like, how do you think about the website? Like, what role do you think it plays for Surefront and the buyer's journey for people getting started?
Yeah, so as far as the website content, initially when I first started, it's relaying information. And part of my job is to go in there and to make sure that we actually express our unique personality. To me, what's unique about Surefront is everybody there is very, very passionate about the retail industry. We're the only platform built for retailers, by retailers. And what's different about us is that we actually enable retailers and suppliers to interface with outside entities. So we're not the only product lifecycle management platform that exists, but we are the only one that allows retailers and suppliers to select specific information and to share that with people outside of their team, which is essential for, say, buyers who need to contact suppliers to get those quotes processed. Otherwise, that ends up in Excel, emails, texting, and that 80% of clerical work that can actually be reduced.
It sounds there will be a lot of time saved, a lot of headache saved when leveraging Surefront. That makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned that that the website is evolving as the team is growing. What do you consider sort of a major strength of the website versus where do you even see room for further improvement?
Well, you're asking somebody who's on the content side. So one of the things when I first came in is always shortening the sentences to make them as compelling as possible. I've been writing in the retail technology vertical for 9 years now. So a lot of times when I come in, there's jargon that's written by engineers and people on the tech side, which can be a sentence with the word "and" like 4 times. They want to convey information. They want to convey as much information as possible, and it's not their job to make it catchy. So what I've actually done over the past month is to go in, shorten all of our sentences, add SEO keywords so that we're easily searchable. When I first started, our main keyword was category management, which isn't actually what we do. We're product lifecycle management. So we work with the product communications in every side of the retailer's journey. So part of my job was making sure that we're actually being crawled for the right keywords that actually pertain to our business.
Interesting. I mean, it's definitely important that we can see this in the show quite a bit. Once content marketers move in and sort of clean up and improve the website, there's typically a lot of gains to be made and a lot of on different angles on the messaging, on the SEO side of things. So that's very interesting. Now we talked about the website a little bit. The one thing that I'm curious about is somebody like yourself from a content that you come in to optimize the messaging. Obviously, a website always has a goal. Sometimes it's that they want to get a demo, they want to get some sales requests, whatever it might be. What do you think is a great way as a content marketer to go in and say, to make sure that this goal is actually be completed? Is there some processes, some analysis, tools, approaches that you use that the content and the copy is actually there to convert?
Sure. So we use HubSpot, and that actually gives us some great information. And one of the tools that I've been learning in the past couple of months since I started is SEMrush. So what that does is it gives us a really, really intensive view into how long people stayed on our website, what's attracting them, what content's attracting them, what keywords could we better utilize, etc., so that then I'm able to utilize that in the content.
Very good. Okay, cool. We talked a lot about the website now. I would love to switch gears and learn a little bit about yourself and your journey within content marketing. The first thing is there is a lot of content on content marketing out there already, right? People learning and keep educating themselves. How do you sort of filter the noise? Where do you personally like to educate yourself further in content, or is it maybe something completely different, something that is a little bit unexpected on how you love to learn about content?
Sure. So one of the things that I always like to stress is that content marketing is not advertising. Content marketing is conversation starting. It's driving conversations, it's positioning yourself as a thought leader, and it's driving industry interest about your brand. So one of the things that I always like to do is to make sure that everything that we share is very well researched. I read about 5 articles on any topic that I write on. And that then we create a unique take on the information that's already out there to really get people thinking. So it's not just Surefront, 10 times ROI, reduced time to market. We can say that until the cows come home. And absolutely, we want people to know that because we believe in our solution. But at the same time, we want people to be interested in us. And that means getting to know us as retail thought leaders and also getting to know about our passion for the industry and how we want to drive that for other people in the retail industry, such as the buyers that don't want to spend all day in spreadsheets.
Makes a lot of sense. Very, very interesting. I mean, actually, what I think is a pointer for a lot of marketers or writers out there is not just the metrics, that bring you in. It's not just the results, they come later. They're the later stage in the buyer's journey. It's more about the problems and understanding and showing superior understanding of the problem. Very, very cool. Now, I have some rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit better before we wrapping up the interview. Are you ready for those?
Let's do it. Hit me with it.
Okay, so what's the last book you read or the last podcast you listened to?
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so most recently, I just downloaded a new book by David Sedaris. I work in content. I love content, but I also love humor and comedy. So I've read almost everything by David Sedaris. He's one of my favorite writers. And his take on COVID and his own neuroses and just how he works through that and turns that into hilarious stories that everybody can relate to. I absolutely love it.
What's the one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Oh, that's good. Well, I would say that the fact that we guarantee 10 times ROI is a huge focus for us because nobody else in the industry does that. But we have proven to ourselves and to our existing clients the fact that they can get by reducing headcount by 60%. And with that comes the ROI. So that's our main area of focus.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing that you would fix for your role as a content marketer today?
The one thing I would fix for my role as a content marketer today, if there were no boundaries in technology. Honestly, I would say I would prefer, think about that.
Can be something small, doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah, I know. No, that's a really good question.
We can get back to it if you want.
No, let me think for a second because I'm very curious about that. If there were no boundaries in technology, the one thing that I would fix in my role as a content marketer is I would say that I would want every day and everything that I shared to give back to some organization in some way. I think that as a startup, we're always building up to that sustainability component. And that's something that I'm really passionate about in the industry. And I would love for that to be built into every white collar job, essentially, that we do.
For the very last question, right? I would love to do a little bit of time travel with you, right? Let's go back to your very first day taking on a role in content and as a writer, right? So you're heading out of education into the world of content marketing, and maybe we could even go, let's say maybe we go all the back to Wisconsin, Milwaukee, right? So you're heading out we're heading out there into the world of marketing. What's the one advice you would give yourself?
I would tell myself that you don't have to do it all in a day. Before I came to Surefront, I had been working on my own for 8 years. So when I first logged on, I was checking in with my supervisors like every 2 hours. I just wasn't used to being accountable to anybody. So I was just bothering the marketing team, bothering them. I wanted them to know that I was at my computer doing my job. And really, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and people trust you. So I would tell myself that.
Very nice. Cool. Jasmine, I really appreciate you took the time today with us to be on the podcast present show. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Surefront, what's the one thing that people should remember?
We are the only product lifecycle management solution that allows retailers and suppliers to interface with external vendors, and that can reduce clerical work by up to 80%.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Thank you so much, Lucas.